here from Ultimate Photo Tips. For today's 2-minute tip, I want to talk to you about Aperture Priority Mode on your camera. That's one of those semi-manual, semi-automatic modes that gives you some creative control, but also lets your camera do some of the heavy lifting for you. So today I want to talk about how to use it, how it works, and I think most importantly why you would choose that particular mode on your camera. So first, the how-to. For the Nikon users out there, it's quite simple. Just turn your mode dial to A for aperture. For Canon, also very simple for you, except the mode is called AV. For other than the big two brands, you're going to have something similar, so just check your manual. Even for the so-called point-and-shoot cameras, there's often a way to set your camera in aperture priority mode. You might just have to dig a little bit in the menus instead of finding it on the dial. Alright, now the how it works. Once you have your camera set in aperture priority mode, the main control dial controls, guess what? Aperture. So here's the key part. You get to pick the aperture that you want, and your camera will pick a corresponding shutter speed to give you a correct exposure based on the available light in the scene. So you're controlling the aperture and you're letting your camera control the shutter speed to give you the right exposure. Okay, now the why. Why would you want to shoot in aperture priority mode? I shoot in this mode quite a lot when I'm photographing things that don't move. If my subject is moving, then shutter speed is the most important thing to me because that determines how the motion will be rendered. But if I'm photographing things that don't move, then my primary creative control comes from my depth of field. How much is in focus from front to back? And depth of field is controlled by your aperture. So if I want a very shallow depth of field, not much in focus, then I'm going to choose a wide aperture. If I want a lot in focus from front to back, then I'm going to choose a small aperture. So when I'm photographing things that don't move, aperture priority mode fits with the way I like to think through my shot. I want to set the depth of field that's important to me and let the camera worry about the shutter speed. Now, you do need to pay a little bit of attention to the shutter speed that the camera is picking for you. If that shutter speed gets longer than about a 60th of a second, you start to risk some blur in your pictures because of your hands shaking. So if the shutter speed is longer than about a 60th, you might want to consider putting the camera on a tripod for stability. So that's your 2-minute photo tip for today. If you enjoyed the video, then please like it, tweet it, and share it with your friends. And come on over to ultimatephototips.com and sign up for my newsletter. That's where I share tips, ideas, and inspiration that I don't share anywhere else. So happy shooting, and I'll see you next time.